We can meditate on anything, almost anything. Hi, my name's Ben, and in this video I'm going to look at the many different things we can meditate on. Because very often, especially in the Buddhist tradition, we get very focused on meditation on the breath. It's a very common practice, it's a very powerful practice, and there are good reasons to meditate on the breath. For one thing, it's always there, and that can help, especially at the beginning. And secondly, it's very connected with our emotions. So breathing is something that changes with our emotions. And so by meditating on the breath, indirectly, because that's not the main point, but indirectly, we can calm ourselves down by lengthening our breath, by deepening our breath. That happens naturally in meditation, and it's very positive. But there are some times when we should meditate on something else. So why might we do this? If meditation on the breath is so good, why do something else? And the simple answer is, it can get stale. It can get boring. You know, if you do 20 minutes meditation on the breath every day, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, it might be great. You might really connect with it. But it might be that it becomes a little bit stale, a little bit boring. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do meditation on the breath, or that you mustn't ever vary it if that process works for you, if that practice works for you. But I'm saying there are other options, and you can do both. You can continue your meditation on the breath and do other things as well. So how come we can do meditation on all these different objects? The simple answer is because it's not the object that's important, not always. So in some practices, of course, the object matters. If we're doing meditation on compassion or meditation on a deity, then of course in those cases the object matters. But if we're doing a simple calming meditation, the kind of meditation we do to kind of calm down our thoughts, to kind of tame our monkey mind, as it's sometimes called, that mind that's always running everywhere, running after every thought. If we're doing that kind of meditation, then what matters is not the object, it's the process of meditation itself. So, for example, if we're doing a calm abiding meditation on the breath, what matters is not the breath. We're not cultivating the breath. We're not trying to breathe more or breathe differently. And in fact, in the Tibetan tradition, the texts are very clear. You are not meant to consciously alter the breath. You're not meant to breathe more slowly or faster or anything like that. What we're doing in that kind of meditation is we are cultivating awareness of the object. And by cultivating awareness, our mind calms down, and there can be various other positive effects as well. But the key is the object doesn't really matter. So from that point of view, yeah, you can meditate on the breath. You could meditate on almost anything. You could meditate on sound. You could meditate on light. You could meditate on an object. You can even meditate on emotions. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the object is. So if you're meditating on emotions, you're not trying to cultivate the emotion. You're not trying to increase the emotion. You're just noticing it. You're just being aware of it. You're observing it. And that kind of meditation, that calm abiding meditation, can be done with almost any object. The only objects you shouldn't do it with are objects which might hurt you, right? And I mean hurt your physical body. So for example, you shouldn't meditate by staring directly into the midday sun, because it will hurt you or damage your eyes. But the reason you don't do that is because it is not going to be any good for your physical body. It's because it's dangerous to your physical body, not because there's something wrong with the sun or you should only meditate on certain objects. So it's really good to think about what else we could meditate on apart from the breath, because it means that we can be much more flexible with our meditation. Let's suppose you're doing some meditation on the breath and suddenly you get distracted because someone's using a pneumatic drill outside. You're just sitting there, you're focusing on the breath, but then the pneumatic drill starts up. You jump, it's very distracting. And then you kind of get used to it a bit, you kind of focus on the breath, you manage to sort of zone out the pneumatic drill, but then the pneumatic drill stops. Immediately you're distracted by the fact it stopped. Immediately you're thinking, oh, this is nice, and you're distracted from the breath. And then you're just relaxing, and then the pneumatic drill starts up again and you get distracted again. So you can see that in that particular situation, it's very difficult to meditate on the breath. So here's an idea. Meditate on sound. Meditate on the sound of the pneumatic drill itself. Just be aware of it. Notice it. Not thinking about it, not trying to change it, not trying to block it out, not welcoming it, just noticing it, being aware of it. And then when it stops, you can be aware of the silence or the other sounds that you hear. So in that situation, meditating on sound is much more beneficial because you're less likely to get distracted. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that meditation on the breath is bad. It's not. It's a fantastic technique. I've taught it in videos on this channel. It's really, really good. And for the reasons I gave at the beginning, it's a fantastic object to use. What I'm saying is don't be limited by it. Don't feel it's the only thing you can do. Have some other objects that you try out, that you sort of have in your back pocket, as it were. And if you do that, then it means you can meditate almost anywhere. You can meditate on the bus, you can meditate on the sound of people chatting, you can meditate on emotion. You know, there's all kinds of interesting things that we can meditate on. And that stops us getting stale, and it can be very, very useful if we are in a difficult situation where there's a very, very distracting object like the pneumatic drill. So I hope that's been useful. If you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and share on social media, and I hope to see you next time.